Hey, welcome. Thanks for checking out my channel. Today we're going to do a quick demonstration of a pastel painting where we're going to focus in on a scene that we will paint from reference photo, a photo that I took on my iPhone while finishing up shoveling the driveway after a recent snowstorm. So there's a couple of things that we'll chat about as we go here. Right now I'm using a pastel pencil. It's kind of a orangey tan color. And I'm just laying out some of the major shapes, and I'll bring up an image of the reference photo in just a moment. I am a big fan of snow and winter weather. If it were up to me, we would live even further north than we do. We live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and in my ideal notion, I would probably live near the ocean up in northern Maine. So I'm a big fan of snow, so a lot of my views are skewed a little bit. I don't ski, but I certainly love venturing out in the snow and doing all the things that you have the opportunity to do after a nice snowfall. So we're going to try and paint this scene and honor the freezing cold feels. At the time that I'm painting this, it's outdoors, it's about 4 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a big part of the reason why I'm in studio and trying to get work done in this fashion. So I just want to maybe share some thoughts as it relates to the magic of snow and why it captivates us. Snow has an undeniable ability to enchant people of all ages and backgrounds. From a distance, it appears to be a soft, glistening blanket that transforms the ordinary landscape into the extraordinary. And for a lot of us that are fans of snow, it'll evoke feelings of wonder, nostalgia, serenity, or peace. And quite often, from the first delicate snowflakes drifting through the air to the pristine landscape that it creates once it's fallen and the storm is done, snow is really more than just frozen water. It's kind of a magical experience that touches the heart and stirs the imagination for many. And there's a couple reasons why. It does offer a transformation of the world around us. We go in minutes or hours from what we've become accustomed to one of the most magical aspects of snow in its transformative power. Overnight, it could turn that street that you stare at every day on your way to work to a glittering winter wonderland. It could turn your backyard into a cluttered area with fallen leaves and sticks and twigs. And the snow can cover all those imperfections and create a clean, uniform, beautiful scene. The sight of snow-covered trees, rooftops, and fields might feel otherworldly sometimes, as though nature has painted a new landscape just before us, just in a matter of moments. And this transformation can inspire awe and remind us of the world's inherent beauty and often overlooked beauty that we miss in the rush of daily life. It also, and I think this especially resonates with me, can offer a connection to childhood. So there's quite a bit of nostalgia involved. For many, snow brings back memories of childhood, building snowmen, sledding downhill, or catching snowflakes on your tongue, or making a snow angel, or having a snowball fight with friends and family, or perhaps maybe seeing elders in your family, parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, act like children for the first time or the first time in a while. So these are all things that can feel magical, and when we experience a good snowfall, sometimes it can bring us back to those moments. For me, I have a lot of good moments that are tied to snowfall, significant snowfall especially, that I recall from childhood and early adulthood, and even a little bit later in adulthood, watching through the eyes of our children. And they are magical moments. So I'm going to try and capture some of those feels in this painting. Right now, I'm laying in some of the darker colors and filling in some of the darker shapes. I started with almost like a sap green, and I'm going to go a little bit darker with some navy blue, and I'm working in soft pastel today, using mainly the sides of the sticks, just working on creating some bigger shapes and starting with those darker colors. So for me personally, I just think back a lot of incredibly formative and important moments. I'm an older Gen Xer, so I was around during the blizzard of 1978, and I remember how the world stopped and shut down. And I also remember, I can't remember if it was during that snowstorm or one during that same era. One evening, I guess when my parents felt it was safe enough to do so, we walked about 1.5 miles in the town that we lived, which was Elmwood Park, New Jersey, to the Sugar Bowl, which is a spot kind of in between highways and exit ramps that creates a huge embankment, or at least it seemed huge at the time when I was a younger child. And we walked all the way there through the snow. There were hardly any cars on the road, and it was me, my parents, and some of my cousins that lived in the same neighborhood, and we had a great time. Also, I remember times where we got to kind of connect through the work that we were doing, the cleared driveways, and just have a little fun, snowball fights and that sort of thing in the yard. Also, throughout the years, there were other things, that will that come to mind very quickly with every snowstorm that we experience now. But that's probably one of the earliest ones. So now I'm laying in some blue, and what's interesting about snow is, especially when we think about snow, we think about its whiteness, right? So a lot of folks that maybe haven't really considered color and reflected color, might envision snow to be pure white. And there's this kind of historically, this is an assumption that we've all made, a linkage between snow. We kind of historically have often seen it as the epitome of purity and whiteness, and it's far from being so. While fresh snow may appear dazzling white to the human eye at first glance, especially when we're blinded by maybe sunlight reflecting off of the snow, it actually reflects the colors of its environment, all the colors in its environment, creating subtle shifts in hue depending upon the light surroundings and the angle of the plane doing the reflecting, and the general atmospheric conditions as well. All those things factor in. So in this photograph that's up in the upper right-hand corner, it is a photo. So, it is not going to represent the actual lighting effects that I saw with my eyes. The sky is going to appear a little bit warmer in color hue than, or color temperature, I should say, than it actually was. The darks are going to seem much darker than they were. And the snow itself, while it does show in the photograph a reflection of some of the colors that are not white, like blues and that sort of thing, it's going to be missing some of the other hues that made up some of the colors that were reflecting out of the snow. And that's an important thing to know. And the more you think about it and study it, and read about it and take notes and observe other paintings, the more this will all make sense. So there is kind of science behind it too, and I am no scientist, but there's much more to snow than meets the eye. Snow appears white because it's a crystalline structure, and it scatters sunlight, reflecting all visible wavelengths of light equally. This scattering effect gives snow its bright white appearance. However, snow is highly reflective. There's a measurement of reflectivity called the albedo. And with snow, it's measured to be up to 80 to 90% or more reflectiveness. And this means it acts like a mirror, or I like to think of it almost as a mirror ball or a disco ball, picking up and reflecting colors from its entire environment. So think of snow maybe as a reflective canvas. There's blue shadows, and we see that dominates the photograph, and I'm laying in a lot of blue right now, kind of in the underpainting of this pastel painting that I'm doing. And in a bright sunlight type environment, shadows on the snow will often appear blue. This happens because the snow absorbs more of the long red wavelengths of light and reflects the shorter blue wavelengths. Additionally, the clear sky above contributes to the blue tone as its scattered blue light from the atmosphere reflects onto the snow. These blue shadows tend to desaturate when off in the distance, and this is the result of atmospheric perspective. And that's why even the bluest of blue reflections, the most intense blue reflections that might appear in the distance, will kind of fade and gray out. And it's really important to honor that in order to create distance in our paintings, and maybe even exaggerate it a little bit beyond what we see with our naked eye. Now, there are times where the reflections in snow get really, really interesting. And we'll start seeing more of that in the painting. I'm going to try to understate it a little bit because I believe, especially with the sunlight reflecting off of the bottom of the clouds in the sky, the photograph kind of exaggerated that dynamic a little bit. And I want to honor what I felt and saw at the time at which I had been shoveling the driveway for about an hour and was freezing cold. And, the scene itself didn't feel quite as warm as what you see in the photograph itself. However, there were some golden and pink hues that were bouncing off of the snow during sunrise or sunset. And the scene actually happens to be just prior to sunrise. The low angle of the sun can cast warm colors like orange, pink, and gold across the snow. Sometimes there may be subtle hints of peach and various subtle shades of tinted grays as well, with little warm tones kind of hidden within. And these colors are the result of sunlight traveling through more of the Earth's atmosphere, which scatters the blue wavelengths and leaves the warmer tones to dominate. Now, you'll also see forest greens and urban grays. Snow near trees or vegetation often will reflect the greenish tones from the foliage in urban settings and also in forest scenes. And snow can pick up gray or brown hues from buildings, cars, or pollution. And there's also aurora and artificial light. So in areas where auroras are casting light throughout the sky, or there's artificial lighting, snow can take on unexpected colors. For example, streetlights may cast an orange or yellow glow, sometimes maybe even a greenish or somewhat off-white glow, while auroras can paint the snow with greens, purples, and reds, and all kinds of crazy colors. And you also may see evidence of these colors at different stages of sunrise and sunset as well. So in art, there are a lot of folks that try to capture, the beauty of snowy scenes. Artists have long understood that snow is never purely white, and painters like Claude Monet and Ivan Shishkin used subtle variations of blue, lavender, pink, and gray to depict snowy landscapes. By observing and capturing these nuances, they conveyed the interplay between light, color, and snow in their works. So, there's illusion of purity, and all too often, purity itself is an illusion, isn't it? But the perception of snow as pure white, is more a reflection of the cultural symbolism than reality. Snow is, in fact, a dynamic surface that mirrors its surroundings. Its ability to adapt to the colors of the environment reminds us of the complexity of the natural world. And that also is one of those things that's quite enchanting. about snow and snow scenes in the landscape as well. So maybe the next time you see a snowy landscape in real life, take a closer look. Much like when you look at puffy white clouds, a white tablecloth, or a white dress on a bride, you'll find that the white snow is a canvas for the colors of the world around it. And it'll certainly reflect quite a few of those colors as well. So today I am using soft pastel sticks. I'm actually using Jack Richardson soft pastels. There's a special landscape palette kit. It consists of 40 hand rolled pastels. And, I've become, quite enamored by this set. I've been using it for a couple of months now. I purchased it with some birthday money that had been gifted to me. And, I'm just going to work my way through this whole painting primarily with those particular pastels. I do have some slightly harder soft pastels, and I'll probably use some of the white sticks from that set to incorporate a little bit of pure white here and there. But for the most part, there's going to be no pure white hardly found within this painting of the snow scene. And just a few more thoughts about snow and why snowy scenes can be so enchanting. We're talking about the connection to childhood. There's a few additional, memories that spring to mind. So, lots of time playing out in the backyard with my younger brother throughout childhood. Lots of time playing outside with our kids. They're young adults now. But, first time taking them sleigh riding and having a snowball fight and building snowmen, all those things are, very, very, nostalgic. And, every time you see, snow falling, it kind of helps trigger those memories, which is a wonderful thing. So beyond that, more broadly speaking, even if you don't have those wonderful memories, snow can offer a quiet respite from the world. Snow has a unique way of quieting the world, physically and psychologically and spiritually as well, I believe. When it falls, the soundscape changes. Soft snow absorbs noise. It creates a peaceful hush that some people really recognize and feel connected to. And some folks will actually claim that it almost feels sacred. This stillness allows people to pause and reflect, offering a sense of calm in an often chaotic world. Walking through a snowy landscape, hearing only the crunch of your footsteps, can feel like stepping into a dream, a rare moment of tranquility and stillness, or some might call that mindfulness. It's a wonderful thing to experience if you get the chance to enjoy it, for sure. Snow is also a source for many of wonder and creativity. Snowflakes themselves, are tiny marvels of nature. If you think about it, each one's unique, a fleeting masterpiece of geometry that vanishes as quickly as it appears. This ephemeral beauty captures the imagination, inspiring poets, artists, storytellers throughout history. Snow also fuels creativity in everyday life as people craft snow sculptures or build igloos or even photograph the delicate pattern of frost on windows. So, in addition to that, as we've alluded to a couple of times, there's a shared experience. Snow can have a unifying effect, bringing people together in ways that few other natural phenomena can. It encourages shared activities like gathering around a fire after a day of sledding, sipping hot cocoa, clearing driveways, and watching snowfall. Communities often come together to shovel driveways and clear sidewalks or help a neighbor in need and all these things can foster a sense of connection and goodwill. The promise of renewal is another symbolic aspect associated with snow. It carries symbolic significance. It blankets the earth, giving it time to rest and renew before the arrival of spring, a period of significant growth. And this cycle mirrors our own need for renewal, reminding us of the beauty in stillness and the promise of fresh beginnings. For many, snow represents hope, purity, and the quiet assurance that life will continue to flourish. So as I'm making this pastel painting or drawing, I'm trying to capture enough of the significance of the scene, the familiarity of the scene for folks that live in my house with me, and for those that perhaps maybe live in the neighborhood surrounding the area in which we live. They'll see the scene, and perhaps maybe it'll help them respond in that way to connect to all these ideas. The magic of snow lies in its ability to touch every aspect of our lives, transforming the world, connecting us to our past, offering moments of peace and creativity. It brings joy, wonder, and unity, reminding us to slow down and appreciate the fleeting beauty of the present. Whether we're watching snowflakes fall or waking up to a snow-covered world, snow invites us to see the extraordinary in the everyday and to embrace the magic of nature. And so does a relatively well-executed painting of a snow scene, and that's what we're trying to do here today. So at this point, we have laid in all of the major shapes, and we have some of the interesting light effects done. Now it's a matter of just refining things like contrast, making sure that the lights and the darks are both well formed and balanced. So I'll make my way back and forth, incorporating darker colors, like for example pure black right now. We're going to try not to overdo it with pure black because we want a colorful painting, but it does exist within the shadows, and we'll enhance those shapes that are within shadows with additional colors to help make this as interesting as possible. Colors like lavender and blue and sap green, and even warmer colors will occasionally be laid down within those shadow shapes. But for now, we're just focusing on refining the bigger shapes and the contrasts that we see on the ground plane and within and amongst the trees, and at the base of the shapes that we've created to represent the houses or the structures within this painting. So we'll keep making our way back and forth, and eventually we'll finish with some final highlights. And I might speed up the video here just to keep it within a reasonable time. The total elapsed time for this painting took close to 2 hours in the end, but you might add some additional time if you factor in the experience that's gone into being able to create a painting like this, and learn the techniques to be able to create a painting like this, and the time it took to shovel the driveway and take the photo. I took multiple photos, so I had to pick one that I thought might make the most interesting painting. So all those things factored in, is probably closer to maybe a 5 or 6 hour ordeal. But in the end, we're always hopeful that it's worth the while.
Hey Google, stop timer.
So up till now, we're making really good progress, and I'm working on incorporating some of the highlights, bringing some warmth into this scene using kind of like a creamy colored yellow, a little bit of gold, a light orange, and also some lighter colored lavenders, and even a lighter color red as well. So we'll make our way through and just try and refine some of these shapes, create the illusion of there being some icy, slushy, frozen snow on that street that maybe has been driven through a couple times by myself and some of our neighbors. And then also catching some of the brighter highlights in the clouds and on the snow that blankets the scene. We'll continue making our way through. Appreciate you checking out my video. If you stuck around for this long, I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us get our artwork out into the world more effectively. It helps more eyeballs catch it. And in addition to that, maybe like the video, share the video, and check out the finished painting on my website at thomasmichaelniemann.com. This will be listed within the gallery there, and also, at least for some time, available in my shop. Appreciate you checking out my video. Appreciate the encouraging words that I get from time to time as well from folks that do watch these videos. I wish you well. Hope your new year still is a new year here early in 2025 is a fantastic one for you and your family and friends. Cheers to you. Thanks again. Be well.